Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the RoundtaBulls podcast. Today, we are joined by a very special guest here, Roger Galo. He's going to be talking to us about the art of shooting itself, and he's got a book coming out called The Pursuit of the Perfect Shot. And we'll be discussing that as well, but just kind of talking about how, shooting has impacted the game. Like, we live in a shooting world now. We used to live in a slashing world, at least on my favorite era of basketball, but now that the game is much more fixated around shooting. And so we got the perfect guy here to talk about it today. And we're going to have our guy, Kurtz, is going to steer the ship here today. Kurtz did a really cool outline for this episode, a lot of research on Roger, and he's got some cool stuff planned for us today. But yeah, Kurtz, I'm going to hand it over to you, my man.
Yeah, good morning, you guys. I hope we're all doing well. Joe, Mike, I see we're all on time. We're doing our thing. Great. And yeah, I'd like to just throw it to Roger. Roger, if you want to introduce yourself, maybe give us a little bit of background on what you do and why you do what you do, and just let our viewers know kind of who you are in the space.
Thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to this. I love when guys like you have this kind of passion about the game I fell in love with in Indiana as a 10-year-old. How apropos, Indiana, Hoop State, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
And from that day forward, just practiced like there was no tomorrow on becoming the best basketball player I could become. And then realizing that I wasn't going to be real tall. I'm very good as a shooter. And so I began that path. And that began probably the first time I made the shot at that age. And then trying to figure it all out and trying to learn as much as I could. And I read book after book after book, watched all kinds of games and shooters and players, and fortunately latched onto three players, if I may share them with you. One was a great shooter from Purdue, coincidentally. And this is dating me, but Rick Mount. He was the Kyle Korver of that era, or Steve Kerr, whomever you want to pick is your favorite. Pete Maravich, flashy, a magician with the ball, could pass the ball, was hard to guard and defend, and then a guy who could work a pivot spot, a space, while being guarded very closely by the name of Earl the Pearl Monroe. So those three was part of my makeup as a basketball player.
Yes, sir.
And it worked pretty well for me. I didn't play Division I ball, but I was recruited pretty heavily to play that ball.
Nice.
By guys like Chuck Daly, Pete Carrill, Don Haskins.
Oh, wow.
Bano. Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed to say I didn't make a lot of good decisions as a young man. And came from a coal mining family. So education wasn't a real big priority, needless to say. With that being said, I think basketball was an escape for me at the same time.
Yes, sir.
Even though I fell in love with it, I think it was a big escape from that kind of a family dynamic.
Yeah.
And then I went on to play college ball, Division III level basketball, broke quite a few records and became ranked as the number 3 scorer in the country. And was contacted by the NBA to play by the team then called the Seattle Supersonics.
Oh, the Supersonics.
LOKC.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
So
that's a throwback right there. Yeah.
Guys, they had more confidence in me than I had in myself.
That's awesome, man.
And then I began, years after I was finished playing ball, I began questioning because I'm watching the game and I'm watching these superb athletes. The advancements around the game in the last 30 years are off the charts in every facet. Around the player, the technology, the analytics, the recovery process, everything, the equipment that we're using. And yet, statistically, I was finding these articles from even the Wall Street Journal, indicating the USA Today paper, indicating that statistically shooting was declining. And then we had the Olympics where we could, in the 90s, the early 2000s.
The 92, yeah.
Where shooting had put us in a very bad reflective light throughout the world because we couldn't do it. Here we are, the inventors of basketball, and we're having trouble making the ball go into the hoop. So that began the questioning of everything I did growing up and everything I learned. And frankly, the answers I was getting were disappointing or not. They were what everybody knew to say. Nothing backed by anything in science other than pretty much that we copy. And we always hear that term as a copycat league, right?
Yes, sir.
And the reality is that's what I did. I copied moves. I copied shooting technique, form, movements of players I watched that were at their pinnacle, at their peak, fortunately. But that's how I developed my shot. So I began questioning, why the gooseneck? Why the elbow under? Why the position at the foul line? Why? And it forced me to go outside of the basketball community. And fortunately, being in Philadelphia, I had a lot of universities that I could go to. And I had a scientist pretty much insult my reliefs who never played basketball.
See that right there, that last part, who never played basketball. That's one of my biggest gripes. It's one of my biggest gripes. The people that talk the most about it or had the most critiques about it never even got on the court. And if they did get on the court, they didn't make the team. They were the managers, they were the water boys. But these are the dudes now who are making these stats like, well, technically, if so you get it, Roger. Good. It's good to hear.
And when he said that, I was offended, by the way, because
yes, sir. Exactly. Like, how are you going to talk about something that you didn't play yourself?
Yeah. And I posed that question to him. I said, with all due respect, Professor, because I'm an adult now. I'm in my 50s. And he's saying to me that. And I said, how can you possibly say that to me? And he says, well, it's simple. I'm a physicist. What you tried to do with your hand against that round object is physically impossible. Wow. And he said it so convincingly.
Yeah, so confident.
That it caused pause in my mind that, really? And that began the journey, this 18-year journey now, which is part of the book. A big part of the book is that journey.
Yes,
so
sir.
Long-winded answer, but I covered a lot of ground there.
Happy to hear them. Yeah.
I'd say one thing real quick, Kurt. I think, like that's a really good point you made. And it's funny the timing that you say that, Galo, is just because like the fact that it caused you some pause and it caused you to think about things more. And you said it started an 18-year journey. I think that's super important. We talk about all the time, like the importance of like constructive criticism or not constantly getting offended if somebody thinks differently than you. Like even a few minutes ago, I said like one of my biggest frustrations growing up was the people who would talk about the game, but they didn't play it themselves. But it's something I've learned is that some of the best journalists in the game are people who couldn't make it on the team, but because they couldn't make it on the team themselves is what caused that obsession over the game and that same passion for the game. So maybe they couldn't have played on the court, but like the fact that they couldn't play on the court is what caused them to like fall in love with the game more and research it more and study it more. And I think it's just a really good point you made that I'm learning myself is just to kind of be a lot more open to the criticism and like kind of appreciative of it, because if we only hear the things that we want to hear in life, how are you supposed to grow? And like him saying that to you is what caused kind of that 18-year journey of now you're here, talking to us about it. So shout out to that professor, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I feel about him today. The first 2 weeks following that comment, I was hell-bent on proving him wrong. I still had an ego. Now, I didn't have the ego I had when I was a player because I was a full-grown adult and you mellow a little bit. But he still offended me a little bit, and I wanted to prove him wrong. And he proved me wrong and himself right. And he led me to talk to another couple of professors.
That's amazing.
Of a kinesiologist. What? I couldn't even say the word.
Wow. I can't spell it. I can't even spell it just hearing it right now. And I pride myself on it.
What is that? Well, now I know what that is and how it plays to becoming a better shot maker. So anyway, that began it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's some great background information, Roger. And if you got some long-winded answers, we're here for it. We want to hear what you have to say. Absolutely. I know we were chopping it up before we went on live here, but I always found something so special about skill development as an extra aspect of the game of basketball. Because growing up, I played a lot of 5v5, played some 3v3, maybe some 1v1s. And then when I got to around 5th, 6th grade, I discovered skill development, and it sort of became instead of me versus the other team, it kind of became me versus me in terms of how I was able to improve when it's just me, a ball, and a hoop in a gym. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts on kind of that aspect of player development being more of a introspective player or like person versus self type of development.
Kurt, I think that is such a profound observation.
Yes, sir.
I really believe that. And I think that was what I fell victim to. If you want to phrase it that way, I'll phrase it that way. But fortunately, I fell victim to that I wanted, and I would have the imaginary player in front of me, probably like you, who's trying to stop me on the right side because I'm a right-handed dominant player. And what kind of move can I make? What kind of footwork can I create? Where should I place the ball? All those things. But yes, I think now it's not as prevalent, unfortunately. I hate to say that, but I that's my gut feeling from observation made over quite a few years of watching players. I think the AAU program has had an impact on that to some extent. I know there are a lot of guys that feel that way very strongly. It's a lot more fun and it's easier to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hard to hold yourself accountable.
Absolutely.
That's a little harder. It's easy to show off and perform, but it's hard to hold yourself accountable or expect yourself to become better at doing something and you're doing it on your own. Or you're doing it in the space where you're not under the lights. You're not on stage. That takes another level of motivation, determination, tenacity, introspectiveness that we're talking about here. It's not glamorous, right? It's not at all glamorous. It's the hard work. And those kids today, with all the distractions, the internet, the exposure camps, the number of games. I mean, I've talked myself out of a lot of business because I couldn't, in fairness to the player, he doesn't have time to train and do and practice what it is I'm trying to get him to do. And then we got a game interfering. But when you're changing somebody's shot, however slight a tweak it may be,
right?
The first thing I open with is, hey, I'm going to make you miss shots you're comfortable making right now. How are you with that? I mean, I can't, I'm not changing your dribble. The dribble we can recover and hide. But if I shoot the ball and it goes clank, no one's going to misunderstand you missed. Well, last week you didn't used to miss that.
Well,
awesome.
Now I'm working on my shot. Expect to miss that. Now, it might be very short-lived. And fortunately, with these principles of science, it can be extraordinarily short-lived. But that depends on what's going on between the ears of that player, that client.
Because so much of it
it
can hurt you in the short term if you're changing your shot, but in the long term, if you stick with it, you'll get more consistent results. But just because your body's not used to moving in those certain ways, it can really and you got to have the confidence to power through that phase in a shot rebuild, I believe.
Well put.
Kurtz, we're gonna take it back to you. I just wanted to you talked about distractions. Yeah, you talked about distractions, Galo. I just wanted to shout out our guy that we talked about before we went live, is Mike, the Zen master. Like I said, we wouldn't be here all together right now if it wasn't for him. But like we told you before the show, Mike, you missed it. So we told him Mike's gonna be in and out. He's got these big German shepherds that kind of want to steal the show and get on the podcast himself. And Galo says that he has a small dog as well who likes to, be active. So I just wanted to give you a second to say what up.
The German Shepherds love the art of shooting, so they've been all good today. But I'm glad you guys threw it to me because I did have a very good follow-up here to something you just said, Roger, if you don't mind me asking.
Please
you kind of mentioned that this is Michael here.
Hi, Mike.
You were saying, Roger, that you kind of, a player has to be comfortable with missing some shots that they do make usually. I was interested in that because I'm a player, like Jordan mentioned here, that my organized playing experience is negligible. Growing up in Chicago, you're going to play some basketball, but let's just say between the lines with the refs, negligible. But I've studied the game, through and through. My favorite shooters all time, probably Rick Barry and Allen Houston in terms of just pure shooters here. Yes. But I've noticed there's some guys who obviously have some funky jump shots, not necessarily something that you would call conventional, but the ball's going in. So as someone who obviously, you know, is interested in the pursuit of a perfect jump shot, when you're working with a player, especially on the youth level, like high school or college, when they have a form that you know, okay, this isn't textbook, but the ball's going in, how much do you look to change that versus kind of tweaking things and letting them settle in that? Or are you kind of like, we're still going to reconstruct this, even though I know you're making it at a consistent rate? I am kind of interested. How do you sort of tackle that when working with the player?
That's a great question,
Michael. Great question. And the way you phrased it was beautifully done, masterfully done. I mean that. Because it varies. It really varies. And the reality is I'd like to completely restructure it most of the time.
Really?
Okay. The other part of that reality is I've got to be sensitive to the circumstances in which we may be trying to do that. Meaning the time of the year. You know, how much of a role does shooting jumpers really play into their game? And so I get into a lot of details in that way, because if I may be training a 4 or 5 star player who is shooting 2 jumpers in a game because he's so athletic and he's so gifted and he's so long and that he scores 28 points a game, but 90% of them are in the paint. So, well, then this might be still a good time to reconstruct a shot rather than tweak it. Even though I could tweak his shot, but he needs a long-term effect if that's his game. Does that make sense? If that's all his game is, then as he climbs through those ranks, he's going to find out he's going to need to broaden that game. And that's a big pill for a lot of young minds to swallow. You know, I've always done this. This has been my identity. And now I'm saying that's not going to be enough. I'm a 5-star. I know. But when you get to day one practice of that mid-major or big-time blue blood program, you might not feel like a 5-star. You might feel like a 3-star.
Yeah, that's a good
wish
point.
You had done some proactive stuff like changing your shot. So tweaking, and I love that word for this reason. By virtue of me having shot the most traditional style and having made it work pretty well, I was 3rd in the country, NBA prospect. I'm 6 feet short. There's not a lot of things I'm bringing to the game, and I didn't have the 3 ball, and my nose is still crooked because, and I think, Jordan, you alluded to this earlier, I couldn't argue. Hey, I can knock down the 3 out there. I can shoot out there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but they're all worth 2 in my era. So we're going to have you go drive to the layup and get that. Yeah, 170 pounds, 6 feet short, and you want me to go down there on purpose? Well, that happened. I rolled my ankle a couple of times. I nearly got a concussion.
Different era of basketball.
So, but the tweaking part I was alluding to is exciting to me under certain conditions because I've already used that type of shot. I had apparently, according to others, had mastered those movements. Whether I'm pretty effective, I feel, at tweaking those movements. If all you've got is 1 or 2 little things, and you got a major game 2 days from now. I don't think there are too many shooting coaches in the NBA that can do that. And I don't mean that judgmentally. I just mean that's by virtue of me having shot with the existing model, by the way, gentlemen, that is still being taught. Well, you're looking at me. I'm not 25 years old. That jump shot we've all adopted and still use has been around 6 or 7 decades.
Wow.
And we all are fully aware of all the advancements around it. Why isn't it working? According to the statistics. 3 years ago, maybe it'll be the 4th season coming up, NCAA Division I level men's basketball achieved an all-time low 3-point shooting percentage.
Oh, wow.
And that shot came out in 1987.
Damn.
That's a long time. Wait,
Yeah.
hasn't the athlete got even taller, closer?
Right.
technically,
Yeah.
to the basket?
Exactly. 100%.
Right. And they shoot
You got
more
7
volume.
foot point guards.
Yeah.
And they're shooting more threes.
And I hear that. Well, wait. If you're shooting more threes, should that cause a decline, or shouldn't you
Right.
be better at it?
You think you'd be better at it?
So we talk about how valuable rhythm is. Some
Right.
guys will come to me say, if I get in a rhythm, I can. Why can't you shoot before you get in a rhythm?
Mm.
But it might, and believe it or not, what I just said is sometimes not as connected to just the form or movements, but the way you're training, the regimen.
Right.
Curtis, I see you nodding your head. Yeah, the way we train. I mean, I work with a lot of guys that are lazy practice shooters.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yes. Not live reps, right?
Yeah, not live reps. That machine, which
The gun.
Who wouldn't love to have a gun?
Gun would be great.
But if you're putting up 400 of 500 the wrong way,
It's not helping.
then it's probably not helping you as much as you think it's really helping you. And some of that wrong way could be the way you're using that machine and coming into your shot. And it makes things, it almost predisposes you to become a lazy shooter in many ways.
Interesting.
So Joe, I was just about to pass it to you, man. I would say if you got any questions up to this point for Roger, let it rip, man. I want to hear what you got to say because I know you played a lot of ball growing up.
Yeah, so Roger, I'm like the old head in the group, and I'm fortunate that Michael and Jordan like me and Luke like me, so they let me hang out. And so I was born in the 70s, and so I grew up with the in Chicago with the early struggles of Jordan, and then obviously the Jordan era. And I remember growing up in the Chicagoland area, and everyone wanted to shoot like Michael, and he had a very fixed shot, with the elbows really locked in. But what's interesting about the variables that you're talking about in the kinesiology is like it does seem to me that as a father of 2 boys that I'm trying to train, it is really hard to get them to practice form shooting. Even some of the kids I've been training, it's really hard for me to get them to shoot closer to the basket I remember like my coach being like, no, you shoot, if you can hit the 10-footer, master the 10-footer, and then master the 15-footer, and then master the 18-footer, and then shoot threes. But in some ways now it seems as though like we're trying to turn every kid that plays into a 3-point shooter. And sometimes to me, it's sort of back to the kinesiology piece and the science of it. Sometimes to me, they're not strong enough to start shooting there. And so to me, I love JJ Redick's stuff and Curry. They have some great videos on just form shooting and shooting close to the rim. Like to me, that's really where it starts. Is like, can you practice really good form right next to the basket? And then everybody's got a different elbow placements. There's I remember like watching Tim Hardaway and his jumper was super funky.
Yeah.
Larry Bird's shot was very different. But whatever the variabilities are, it just seems to me that starting closer and being a master closer is really what I've been trying to teach these young kids. It's like, I want you to be really, really good close to the rim, and I want you to be really good from the free throw line, and then we will work on a 3-point shot. What are your thoughts on that?
Joe Peppers, I could not agree anymore. I really could not agree. However, with that, and look, it's challenging because now you've got mom and dad who are at the games, and if the young player of theirs who is 10 years old, while the big brother or the big sister are out there really playing, are over on the court launching threes and airballing 5 feet, missing, they're applauding the effort, the attempt.
Right. I can't stand
Not it. The way it should be done. It should be worked from the inside out. However, with that being said, I come down a little harshly on form shooting.
Okay.
And I'll
Love
try
to hear
qualify that. Over the decades, I've seen a lot of interesting form shooting styles. And most of the form shooting styles, interestingly enough, will show oftentimes one hand behind the back and one arm.
Right.
Worst drill ever. Worst drill ever.
Right? But now here's where the harshness comes in. Do we shoot a jump shot that way?
Never.
No. Come on.
Never.
Right.
Is that the right form for a jump shot?
Never.
No. Then I don't think I ever want to see you shooting a form shot that way.
Exactly.
But yet, I grew up doing that.
We did too.
A one-handed jumper.
Right.
I shot a one-handed. Well, we didn't know it was called a floater, but maybe right. A layup, a forward attempting layup instead of a finger roll. Right. But I didn't practice that a lot. That was a unique shot. But form shooting that way, or form shooting with your body completely turned, there's a lot of things I see going astray.
I haven't seen that. Wow.
Watched form shooting. And I won't name the university. It's one of the most revered in the country, who spent 50, encourages his team very convincingly, by the way, he's the head coach, to do 50 form shots every day.
I was going to say, Roger, you're bringing me back to the high school days where we'd be standing 2 feet from the basket, one arm behind the back.
Work your way out. Yes.
Couldn't leave until you hit 10 switches. That was
quite literally.
Worst drill ever.
To the free throw, to the mid, to the 3-point.
And guys, I'm saying that because I do form shooting.
Yeah.
But my form shooting that I'm doing is really connected to the form that you're going to be using.
Absolutely.
I love that.
There.
Right.
Well, that's a different form shot. It is hard for these guys meaning younger players, to buy into the value of training to become better from closer in and then moving back as you get physically capable of moving back without disrupting or adding variability. And there are young coaches, unfortunately, that will have young players end a practice by launching mid-court shots.
Yeah, I've seen that.
He's not doing it for the purpose of highlighting, well, this could be a last-second shot attempt.
No.
That could have value. But no, allowing them to distort, deform their shooting mechanics and create a lot of angst, by the way, with some kids. You should see them getting frustrated because they're launching the ball 12 feet short of the basket.
Yeah, we weren't even doing that when I was playing
and
ball.
Their bodies are going through all these gyrations because that's probably not a good idea.
No. So, Roger, I really want to get into your shooting method. Like I think I was reading it was called like the Galo method. I think that's what we're going to refer to it as today. But I have one last question about your background. That I just have to get off my chest. I read somewhere that you were a coach or played some part in 5-star basketball camp. Growing up, like I had so many like trainers and coaches who had so many crazy stories from 5-star basketball camp. I don't know if you guys all know what this is, but it was this
huge.
really huge thing in like, what was it, the late 80s to 90s and early 2000s. It was just this massive basketball camp where all the best high school players would go. So Roger, do you have any, if you did do that, did you have any awesome stories from your time at 5-star camp?
Well, I've got a few. I'll share one because it's embarrassing, but it was at the same time quite flattering because it was Howard Garfinkel who had seen me. By the way, I never played. I never performed at 5-star as a player, but I was invited to become a trainer. And they wanted to do their first ever shot specific camp.
Okay.
And I think they got nearly 100 kids in the first ever up in the Poconos. And I was privileged to be a part of that. And Howard Garfinkel, and this was early on in this journey of mine. And I'm wrestling with, do I dare broach this subject? Or do I follow the natural path that I grew up on and that the shooting coach who is in charge is going to be doing? Those mechanics.
Yeah.
And I succumbed to the traditional way. And at the end of that camp, Howard Garfinkel said to me, he asked me if I'd like to do Station 13. Now, if you know the history of Station 13, there were coaches like Patino or Calipari who would fight over, Coach, I want to do Station 13. And here he is asking me if I'd love to do, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what an honor. But I wasn't ready. This was too early in the journey, but I wanted to get feedback at this. And I'm thinking, oh my, so I really had a hard time wrestling with and saying no to Mr. Howard Garfinkel, who, if you know anything about Howard's personality, he smoked and blew smoke in your face, and he loved to drop strong adjectives. The F word.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a strong adjective. I'll start using
it. He didn't take it well when I said, oh my God, thank you so much. I hope you can respect this. I don't think I'm ready. And then
that's hilarious.
And then he went off. Yeah. He allowed me to stay. He allowed me to stay in the camp. But he didn't throw me out of the camp. But what an honor. And because to the point we made earlier about introspectiveness, one of the most exciting things I'm looking forward to, if it ever happens, is somebody coming up to me of some status, the best professional shooting coach in the NBA or somewhere else in the world, who can come over to me and say, you know, Galo, I like what you're doing, but if you did this, man, I'm all ears. To this day, I'm all ears. I don't think I've got all the answers, but man, I put a lot of time and effort and research and litmus testing into this technique and form. And by the way, guys, I'll say this, and again, I apologize for the long-windedness.
No, please be long-winded.
There's some things I've just grown so incensed by.
Yes,
it's
sir.
the art of shooting.
Sir. Yes,
absolutely.
This is the most precision skill set in the game. It's like a sniper. The precision skill set that's the highest in the game.
Right.
And we treat it as though, hey, Joe Peppers, show me your version of the Michael Jackson moonwalk. Well, that's artistic. Hey, Kurtz, could you draw me a picture of your image of Charlie Brown? Well, I can't criticize. That's artistic.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
about
Objectivity.
Science behind these principles of movements. Elbow under. Very few guys shoot technically with elbow under. And
a lot of guys are like right inside.
Yeah, that's an anatomical, natural movement. Well, can we take some of that anatomical, ergonomically correct, kinesiologically advanced movement and help you become a better shooter? And the answer is Now I can say that pretty the answer is yes. And it works a lot more effectively than your interpretation, whatever that might be, that you think works for you. So sorry, I'll stop there, but it shouldn't be the art. And now we're losing the art of the mid-range.
Yes, I agree. As a mid-range shooter myself, I absolutely agree.
Let's go, Luke.
Absolutely agree. But honestly, Roger, you're setting up this transition perfectly for me.
Yes.
Next up, we got the Galo method. All right. And I did as much research as I could into this. I was on like Forbes. I was on LinkedIn. I was all over the place.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you.
But my first question, we've talked about kinesiology a bunch on the podcast. And I just wanted to know, like, how did you get in touch with the kinesiologist at NC State to help you with this sort of research? And can you explain how that process went for you?
That's real interesting. Okay. I came to learn of a guy who, through his article that I caught a glimpse of. He wrote, and he's with NC State University in the aerospace field. And he and another scientist apparently studied the free throw.
Oh, okay.
And through that conversation, and I wanted to ask him because I had trouble. Now, this is an aerospace mind. This guy's written 4 books on that subject he's world renowned in that field. And he's a basketball fanatic. And he and I are talking about the free throw. And he and I are finding out about each of our respective affinities for the bank shot. There's another subject. The bank shot that's
Talk
not
to
being
me.
utilized very much.
Why?
Why? Oh my God. We could do a show on the bank shot.
Wimby was using it last night during the
a couple
game,
nice
Galo.
ones.
It's incredibly one of the most important, advantageous shots that could even help you rebound, anticipate misses from a bank angle because of certain characteristics that present themselves to that. Anyway, the point is the two of us connect on those two levels, and that's how it happened. And then we decided that because of my new model, the new shooting model, that I know a lot of guys will leave me early because of the drastic, miraculous, in some cases, in their minds, of the transformation that occurs in 12 or 14 hours of training, that they're done. Now,
it's never over.
No, that 14 hours isn't going to replace 12 years of
10,
bad practice and hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of reps that you did the other way. It may feel that way because it's so simple, and that speaks to the science behind it, because it's so intuitive, and I use that word, intuitive, that it may feel that way. But I'm cautioning you that no, it's not permanent yet. I want to make it permanent, but that takes more time. With that being said, we clicked. He became my lead guy in putting together a team of scientists down there that are now working on an apparel or a number of apparels that you'll be able to put on and use during your reps-centric practice, because we've all bought in of how reps is the answer to becoming a great shooter. Well, I became a greater shooter, a faster shooter, a more accurate shooter, a more consistent shooter without that. Late, after 30 years plus of shooting mechanically differently. So the reps thing can be a little bit over exaggerated. And if they're the wrong reps, that old term, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Those scientific principles that we're trying to help you learn faster with this sensor-based apparel that might give you a little bit of a jolt, not quite a taser level, but a little jolt that tells you, hey, you lifted your elbow. Hey, you turned your thumb and thumbed the ball. Hey, your right foot is in the wrong. How many less reps and much increased progress would one obtain by using something like that doesn't require you to come into a lab of sorts? So for those who can afford this apparel, can use it anywhere and have this feedback, immediate real-time feedback, suggesting, Joe Peppers, you don't want that movement. Stop before you shoot it, because that's going to become one of those bad reps that if you make it, it's going to make it seem okay. Now, how many times does that happen? And I talk about accidental makes a lot with guys I've trained. That was an accident.
I
we
love
don't
that.
like to shoot and make shots accidentally. There's a lot of intentionality behind what I do. And it should be that. But every rep, imagine if every rep could be intentional or engaged cerebrally or intellectually enough that on the next rep to make that adjustment. Well, wouldn't that translate to a game? Or shouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Follow it would.
I love that.
And that's what that's really part of the Galo method. By the way, thank you for highlighting that term, because that was the most obvious way for me to protect it using my last name.
Absolutely.
But the acronym, GALO, stands for gaining accuracy or generating accuracy with linear, straight line.
Yep.
Optimization.
You got me ready to get some shots up right now.
Yeah, we got to get in the driveway,
God, man, dude, you got me hyped, man. Like the accuracy speaking. Fuck.
Do any of you guys
so,
got any questions on the science aspect of the method?
Yeah, so Roger, I went to West Point, and I played I played at West Point for a little bit. I was a walk-on, so I never really I
kudos
mostly
to you.
just
That's
played
courageous, man. Courageous.
Well, thank you. And so I ended up going and working in corporate America for Apple and Amazon. And so one of the things I learned at Amazon, interesting enough, is we have these people that pack boxes, and we expect them to do this over and over and over again. They have to put items in the box, and we want them to do it at a certain rate. And it sort of dawned on me as a hooper. I was like, man, like this is sort of like what hooping reps are like. It's like these people are working 40 hours a week, putting stuff in boxes all the time, and we want them to go from 200 items an hour to 350 items an hour. And so like I really think about the idea of like good reps being so important. And you talk about a good rep being the linear essentially linear efficiency. So like to me, when I hear that, I say, okay, like the front foot and the elbow and the shoulder and if I'm right-handed shooter, my right eye, they all need to be in alignment that's intuitive, to your point, to that person. And then they need to be able to rep that over and over and over again. And that takes them from, let's just use free throws. That takes them from a 50% free throw shooter to a 75% free throw shooter or 80% free throw shooter. So I think that there's something interesting about the fluidity and this linear approach, but also I think it's interesting to see the mental part of it. So like we watched the game last night, and Chet Holmgren, who's going to get a lot of he basically mentally checked out. And I think that a guy that Steve Kerr was a better shooter than Jordan, but he could never shoot with the confidence that Jordan did or Bird did. So I think that there's something to like the physics, the kinesiology of it all, and lining everything up, and then also the mental part of it. And how do you connect those two?
That's a great question. And boy, you highlighted a couple of things in the way that you presented them. That you mentioned the eye. Well, based on what you just described, Joe Peppers, in many cases, when I'm videotaping a guy and training them, I'm highlighting the fact that guy, by virtue of what he's doing, the way he's doing it, is literally blocking his eye.
Right.
And if his
he can't
right
see the rim,
eye
yes.
Is, if he's a right-handed shooter, and his right eye is the dominant eye. And you used the word checking out, which I'd love to delve into, and I know the show's limited on time, but
no, we're not. We're not. You do your thing.
You can do this all day.
Out.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because when I hear a guy having a bad day and he's a shooter, we all know what that means, right?
Yeah. He ain't hitting nothing. Yeah.
and it becomes excuse because hey, it happens to all of us. I had off nights.
Right.
But if the movements are so intuitive, so anatomically easier, it suggests they're easier to repeat more effectively, more correctly, and less likely to probably fail you. And intuitively,
I like that.
Intellectually, because a lot of I cannot tell you. Well, I'll tell you this way. A lot of players will come to me identifying, I think, coach, I think it's a mental thing in me. Or a player's coach will tell me, we think it's or an agent will tell me it's or a.
Right.
But 90%, in 90% of the cases, the mental thing is no longer an issue. And I'm asked, why do you think that is? I'm not a psychoanalyst. I'm not trying to get in your head. But I think the simplicity, the lack of complexity, the intuitiveness, the ergonomic correctness, the anatomical ease, whatever kinesiologically superior movements, free the brain, free your mind, and build the confidence
that's great.
that we lack. That's
great.
The only thing I can attribute to that. And believe it, I'll have guys shooting without looking, without seeing. Well, wait, how long after I start working with them? Months? No, hours. Hours? What? How does that happen? Because of what I just explained. The principle.
Well, in the Army.
Yes, go ahead.
In the Army, we call it sight shooting, where I don't use the sight to shoot. I don't use the sight to shoot. I can be accurate. I can be very accurate without using the sight to shoot, because I have really good eye discipline and I know what I'm looking at. And so what you're saying is basically these guys have now mastered their body movement to the place where, you remember when Jordan would go to the free throw line and close his eyes?
Oh yeah,
He'd be like, "Hey, Mutombo, look at this," and he would make the free throws without. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm saying that, but I'm saying that unlike the way Mike did it, Michael, because we kind of become brainwashed unknowingly with certain things, and the way you described that shot, Joe, that you described with the shoulder being in line and the foot and where's the squared being squared to the basket part of that alignment? Because all I see is maybe a head, and your head better not be looking that way, right? It's never looking that way. Your head's always squared. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Your head's always squared to the basket, but we may be standing with a lead foot 12 inches ahead of the left if we're right-handed, 8 inches ahead of the left. We may be dribbling the ball over towards the middle part of our body to pick it up and never move it over to the right foot. That's aligning our shoulder.
Right.
Thinking we're going to launch it from there, only to see that, gee, I don't really shoot it from over there, do I? So the essence, and this is going to be shocking, what I'm about to say, but I say this quietly to my clients, and I was guilty of this. I was third in the country. I was a pretty efficient shooter. I didn't, I scored almost 28 points a game without the three. I didn't need 40 shots. So I was effective.
Right. Right.
Well, I'm not bragging about that, but I want to highlight this part of it. I did it with the whole premise, the whole foundation of my shooting system, the model, and it was written about how perfect form, blah, 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 rotation, everything. I learned to shoot and trained to shoot crooked my whole life.
So you weren't square to the basket?
Yeah.
Or you were shooting from the side?
According to our basketball interpretation of being squared to the basket, which is similar to our interpretation or definition of being balanced on a shot. 95% of us, and that's a conservative number, are not balanced on a jump shot from the launch.
Oh, I'm certainly not.
But
talk a little bit about that. Yeah, talk about the launch.
How can I say that so confidently? Because physics, biomechanics, kinesiology dictates me to be able to say that now that I know that much about it. But our definition in simplistic forms, excuse me a second, I'm sorry about that.
No, you good, Galo.
In simplistic forms, our definition doesn't line up a balance. The word balance doesn't mean the same thing to us as it does to a gymnast. Well, a gymnast on a high beam doing their exercise, if they come crashing down on that big solid piece of wood, they ain't picking themselves up and getting into the next play like we do falling on the floor. They're suffering a serious injury.
Yeah.
They understand and they understand balance at the level it should be understood. We kind of mutated the definition a little bit. How can you can't think about this, gentlemen. You can't jump applying the same level of force if one foot turns your hips, your knees, your ankles, your upper body. You're pushing off of one side more, that means unevenly, than the other side.
Got it. Got it.
My jump shot was written about. And I'm not saying that to boast. Because it was what we deemed to be the most balanced, beautiful form, blah, blah, blah. And it really wasn't.
Interesting.
It really wasn't. It was out of balance. I just learned how to make it work. One of you guys, I think it was you, Kurz, you mentioned J.J. Redick. Was it you?
No, I think it was Joe.
Joe, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Joe, J.J. Redick would, and God, I would have loved to have been on his podcast with him with about that, because he's so cerebral. And I mean, so cerebral.
Yeah.
He literally, and I know who I'm criticizing here, a great shooter.
Yeah.
But it begs the question at the end of this statement, how much better could he have been if when he approached his jump shot and being only 15 degrees off target, off basket, leftward, being a right-handed shooter, if when he landed, he didn't land at 90 or 105.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
so you're even talking about the landing.
What's happening during that from the launch to the landing? At some point in the middle there, he's trying to time perfectly his instant nanosecond of release.
Yes.
Well, somebody mentioned, Joe, I think it was you, variables. I talk all the time about variables.
I was just going to ask you about
variable. That is a big variable.
So, guys,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say introduce it for the guys really fast, but so Roger's method involves. I was reading this about Lonzo Ball. Shout out former Bull Lonzo Ball.
Yes, sir.
But Roger's method, I think it said 57 variables, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, obviously, you've got all these science stuff going on, but I was wondering, and you've probably already been giving us examples of the ones, but in your response to Joe's question, but can you explain the variables as well as break down the order of importance in those variables and which ones you decide to attack first with a given player?
I'll try to answer some of that question, but not all of it intentionally. And I'll say that for this reason. The importance of the order of importance, I usually defer to the player in large measure. I say
the
that
player's body type or their shooting style?
Well, that's part of it. His body type, his length, his tendencies, his movements. So you may be doing something that is really bad in the wrist area. Another player, his biggest problem might be the lower half of his shot, the lower two quadrants. Might be only his left lower quadrant. So that can vary a lot, Kurz. I hope that makes some sense. So the order in which they are varies from player to player, depending on what that player is coming to me with that are the most detrimental to him. The variables can be the way I release the ball. That's a huge one. Why would I name that as one of the better, more important ones? Because I always refer to that as the last level of control we maintain.
Right.
Up there,
right.
Way up there, wherever that is, that release. And I don't know if any of you played golf or ever tried to play golf, even at the lowest of levels. Could you imagine swiveling your hand on a putt while you're trying to putt?
Oh, I don't have to imagine that, Roger. I don't have to imagine that.
You don't have to. You do that.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah. Well, I played golf enough to know that's not a good thing to do. Now, I play a lot more basketball, and yet we'll see a lot of guys, and they have to. They have to because of the way we're taught to release the ball.
So essentially what you're saying, are you saying that they so like I noticed this with some kids, their elbows out and then they're flying or swimming towards the basket? Is that what you mean?
That's a very blatantly bad
Joakim Noah.
Yeah.
Yes, Jordan. Yes.
Joakim Noah, somebody just brought him up to me not too long ago. And Joakim Noah it would be like all of us standing with a big jar in front of us, trying to screw off the top. It was like he squirted that out of his chest area.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
wow.
Right?
Absolutely.
Now, somebody's house, whom I just was at not too long ago, shot way down here by the name of Sean Marion.
Wow.
Right.
He could make it. He made it work for him to some degree. Guess what he did, though, that helped make it work? He used a little bit of that linear. He shot from the center of his body. He didn't shoot from the right shoulder. He didn't shoot from the left shoulder, aka Alonzo. Remember Alonzo with the
that thing was crazy.
He traveled everywhere, right, through all the multiple planes of movement. But anyway, getting back to your question, I can't add. That's why I can't answer in order of importance. I think this is one of the most important things. I'll share this with you: is variability. And this was something that hit me hard, like a board upside the head, like the release from the physicist. When I went to talk to the professor of anatomy at the university, he said this to me, and I'd like all of you to respond to this. Please, if we don't have time, we don't have time.
No, we've got all the time. We got time, Roger.
Yeah. We're in the Galo world today.
Guys, we're all basketball players here.
Absolutely.
We've all been playing a lot. Different levels. It doesn't matter. We all know what to do with this, right?
Yes.
Here's all I can say to you now as a pseudo and professor of anatomy. The weakest part of anybody's shot, the most finicky part, the most unreliable part of any shooter is from here to here.
Interesting.
Really? That's the most inconsistent.
I'm glad you're repeating that, Joe Peppers. I'm glad you're repeating that. Wait a second. What? This is a pretty important part.
Yeah.
And we put a lot of emphasis on this part, don't we?
Yeah.
And I've come to learn that the emphasis we put on it is also misguided.
Interesting.
But when I left after hearing that, rather than trying to prove somebody wrong, because I learned my lesson with the other scientist, he was right. I was wrong. I changed my release. Yep.
Yes.
Well, I didn't have any motivation to really change my release. I changed it anyway because of the principle of science. Now, if that's true, let's reflect. Can you guys each one of you give me a response to this question? What do we do with this hand as a basketball player? This wrist?
The guide hand?
Yeah. No, just the shooting hand. Forget the other hand. Right.
You got to flick it.
What do we do with it in the game of basketball?
We dribble with it.
We dribble with it.
Yeah, dribble.
That's a lot of dribbling, ain't it?
Yeah.
What else do we do with it? The obvious. We
shoot.
We shoot, right?
Do we rebound with it?
Yeah.
Do we push or try to guard people with it, moving around and pushing and holding? We do a lot of stuff with this. The weakest, most unreliable, finicky, hard to control because of 27 bones part of our shot. What if somebody could reduce the load? We talk about load management. And we all know how it's easy to quip, hey, his legs are going on his shot because he's right. I would argue now, maybe his wrist is a little bit fatigued.
Interesting.
Well, that's the whole thing. That doesn't make if you really believe what is a fact, then it might. What could we do to transfer some of the responsibility in our shooting, the rest of our shooting system, to help stabilize, make it more consistent, ask it to do less, be less involved, for the sake of improving our own performance on that part of the game, shot making.
Roger, you're blowing my mind here because so my game, I live in the mid range. I shoot a lot of 1 dribble pull-ups, 2 dribble pull-ups.
And it's valuable. It is. Don't stop doing that.
I love living in there. It's my favorite spot. But so for me, what I've learned about my own shot over the past couple of years is it doesn't matter when I'm in the mid range. When I'm from three, it's a different story. But when I'm in the mid range, as long as I can get to this spot and flick that wrist, it's got a high chance of going in. It doesn't matter how it gets there for me, as long as I get it there and then finish. So for me, that finish is what's seemingly to me the most important. But you're saying otherwise.
Well, I'm saying that first of all, I'll share this with you. I think you'll be able to see this. When a physicist, another physicist, and then the professor of anatomy verified it, the rotation. Why do we all gooseneck and put our hand in the cookie jar? Because if you want to be a basketball player, that's what we all do, right? But what's the reason behind it? Rotation.
Rotation, yeah.
Right. Number one answer, rotation. Well, the rotation happens as you snap your wrist straight. By the way, the ball leaves your hand at that point.
Absolutely.
Well, wait. So all this from that action beyond is wasted, unnecessary, damaging, possibly.
Okay. So Roger,
oh wow.
To that point, I was always taught in the mid range. Actually, I wasn't always taught that, but when I got good at it, the guy who always taught me it said, you almost want to shoot the mid range, kind of like you're floating it up, and then you're kind of releasing back into the same.
You're showing a beautiful hand action now, Kurt.
I put a lot of time and effort into this thing, Roger. Believe me, I've been in the lab. But so like to that point, and then I would watch a lot of the great mid-range shooters of our game, the Kobe's, the Jordans, even DeRozan when he was with the Bulls. I watched a ton of him in the mid-range. A lot of those mid-range shooters, to your point, do not finish. They don't finish here. They shoot it and like release it high and then pull it back a little bit because they don't need, I guess, and I never thought that that's where the release was, you know, I never thought that that was the reason why. So that's really interesting.
Well, that you're a critical thinker, and that's what I became to another level when I started finding out that, guys, you have to understand, and this probably is a nice thing to share. I was angry when I was starting to be exposed because I read everything I could get my hands on, written by who? Rebounders who wrote books on how to shoot? No, they were professional shooting coaches writing about shooting. And they were all regurgitating with the tweak here. Well, you can do this. You know, what about the gap between the hand and the ball?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up on the gap.
Yeah.
No. What gap did I use on a 25-foot shot versus the gap I used on a 12-foot shot? Couldn't tell you. I don't think anybody in basketball could tell you. I don't think anybody knew that. What gap? Which gap should you have? The professional shooting coaches, and I won't name them, they'll tell, well, whatever gap is comfortable to you. One guy will say in a book, well, it should be a pencil. You should be able to slide a pencil. Another guy will have 2 fingers. Well, it should be, well, wait a second. If you're really that technical about it, or you're not that technical about it, shouldn't we really concentrate on the gap that a Shaquille O'Neal might be advised to have? Because he was trying to make foul shots with a gap that was probably the single most highest gap I'd ever seen on a basketball player.
It was bad.
It was perched up like a tee, a golf ball that was a foot long. I mean, but wait, shouldn't it vary depending on the size of your fingers, the length of your fingers? By the way, how and the destabilizing effect, and we all grew up with the gap. It's still being taught. So the book is an effort, an effort on my part, just another effort trying to get out there that, look, it may not be the way for you to do this, but think about it. Give it, maybe try it and see if it has any benefit. The principles are hard to deny. Now, whether or not you can really make them work is a little bit contingent on the fact that, are you doing them the way you should be doing them? Now, how does one know that if they're not being watched, observed, or using somebody who's capable of saying, that is correct, that wasn't? if they don't even know there's a different model. So
Roger, like, I was looking at something on shooting recently, and it was like about energy transfer.
Ooh,
and the idea that these guys are really trying to, and I know, I think we have 3 examples, right, Luke, of players that we want to look at.
Absolutely. We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a couple minutes too, for sure.
But there's this idea that and it really points to your, I think you talked about fluidity. It's one of the things that you talk about a lot.
That's a big part of it. Yeah. Shamelessness.
These guys that really struggle with energy transfer, either they have a hitch in their shot, they've got they load and then they jump, or then they turn and then they shoot. Can you talk a little bit about like this sort of philosophy that's sort of, I don't know if it's new or not, but just the idea of like you want to keep forward momentum from your load to your jump to your follow through on the shot, and how I think it also points to a little bit about what you're saying. I can't tell if you're saying this, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds almost a little bit like there's a little bit of shot putting to the shot that isn't just this idea of like I have to like extend my elbow and follow through and snap it, and it has to be on my 2 middle fingers and all these other things. There's a little bit of like, there's a little less precision in the follow through and more precision around energy and sort of like, for lack of a better term, shot putting the shot and sort of aiming it correctly.
That's very keen observation, real keen. You're right. And most people don't like that shot put, but I think Steph Curry does a little bit more of that than anybody.
Yeah,
that kind of shot putting.
Flick.
I think Steph Curry does more of that energy transfer better than just about anybody. He could pick up the ball. I've never been with him, but I'll guarantee, because I talk about this when I'm training somebody, I should be able to shoot within the same plane, whether I start a ball down at my ankles or I start a ball above my head. I should be within that same plane. And if I'm using all of my body, then I better tap into the energy and the power before I go airborne. Well, what is that going to emanate from? A push. A push. From what? The air? No, from the floor.
Right. So my feet, my feet, and where my feet are, and how much I bend my knees, how much I bend my waist, all that.
All that. Well, the waist might not be as much bent because that can be misinterpreted or can create another variable, if you will. But the generation of power, and this speaks to the kinetic chain. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that word, but the kinetic chain. So the guys who many years ago, and I don't know who deserves credit for this, who originally said, hey, the shot really starts from the feet. It's correct.
Right.
It does. And technically, it really starts from the feet being on the floor, not once you're in the air, which really poses challenges for the way I grew up to shoot a jump shot, which was hit your highest apex, right? That word apex, and then release.
Right,
man. You know what's really cool, Galo?
A lot of challenges for a lot of players over the years, because it's hard to maintain a leveling effect from one jump shot to another jump shot to another jump shot to another, depending on what part of the game, how much of the game, where you are in the game, how many minutes you've. That's impossible to control. But we bought into that and I think there are I know there are still coaches who are trying to advocate that you hit your apex and then shoot. But that goes against you don't want to do that from the 3-point line. And some guys are even acknowledging that. I think I shoot better when I jump less. The first round.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Because that energy that you're highlighting, Joe, is being dissipated as you climb the scale.
Right.
Once you leave the force plate. What force plate? The floor.
A lot of those really athletic players, like guys like, I'm a huge Westbrook fan. When he's jumping really high on his 3-point shot, he's not a great 3-point shooter because he's shooting at the apex or on the way down. It's taken away
on the way down.
Yeah.
That's great.
Blake Griffin Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
I won't mention where I saw him. I was literally videotaping him. And I'm watching him working with the guys at this particular place, very well renowned in their area of specialty, but they're also working with him on his shot.
Yeah.
And they are doing nothing but
For him.
hurting him.
Absolutely.
He's shooting on the way up. He's shooting on the way down.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At the time this was happening, he was already a pro. And I'm watching him not make two. And I'm not exaggerating. I'll say that he couldn't make 3 shots in the drill in a row. He couldn't make 3 in a row from any spot in the drill sequence.
Absolutely. Mike, I want to throw it to you really fast. Mike,
Wait, hold on, Kurtz. Before we I just wanted to like throw this out there because it's just super interesting to me. It's to me, basketball, like you said, Galo, like there's such a meeting of the mind, the meeting of so many different worlds. When you talked about at the beginning of the pod, how it's about precision. You know, you're like a sniper out there, you know. And I've never viewed it through that lens, man, because like that was like my best attribute, I think, when I was playing ball is shooting. Like I'm a lefty, you know, so I feel like we just are born knowing how to shoot sometimes. But when you mention the kinetic chain, I wasn't expecting to have this connection because like my other biggest passion growing up is martial arts.
Oh,
and so I did Muay Thai, and my coach always talked about the kinetic chain because everything, like when you learn how to punch and you learn how to throw a cross or a hook, everything comes from the floor, the ground up. All your power comes from the feet. So it was so crazy. I spent about, when I first started training, I went in there like thinking I was such a good boxer and all this. We spent over a month and a half just practicing footwork every day. You're in there for an hour just walking back and forth, learning how to pivot, you know, learning how to stand your stance. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what are we doing? Because I'm watching my other teammates, they're in the ring, they're fighting, and I'm like, dude, like I know how to walk, man. Like I'm not an idiot, but I'll never forget it, man. Shout out to my crew. He taught us that it's all about the kinetic chain. So when you just said that, it took me back to that. But I think that's so interesting how that seems to, you know, translate over to so many different, almost to everything that we do. You know, I do construction as well, and it's the same when you're swinging a maul or you're swinging a sledgehammer. You don't want to swing. They say you're going to throw your back out if you swing with your upper body. It comes from the floor. You swing from the hip. You know, so I just think it's just super cool, you know, hearing about that with you, man. The kinetic chain is absolutely.
And Jordan, I can relate to that because I studied Shotokan karate.
Oh,
and
nice.
I learned, and to your point, and you mentioned a month and a half, guys, this was fascinating. And believe me when I say this, some of my best, fastest results occur when I remove the basket from the training.
Sir.
When I have them sitting, standing with a ball and no basket, we're not shooting.
Yes, sir.
But we're learning the kata.
Yes.
And in Shotokan, they would spend 3 or 4 years on studying a kata. A kata is one sequence of a very static position, not a dynamic position, static.
Yes, sir.
And they could tell, the monks at the monastery could tell whether you had too much weight on one foot versus the other. And if you did, then you weren't ready to move on.
Wow.
This is a pose, more or less.
Yes, your fighting stance.
It's incredible how, but mindful engagement, mindfully becoming engaged can make up for a ton of time and unnecessary reps. And the psychological part of that is the level of frustration. The level of frustration. That, man, I keep missing these shots. I keep missing. The guys that get most frustrated are the guys that are where the gaps are too big between our sessions, and sometimes because of AAU ball or whatever, they're going back to what are they going to revert to? Something I've shown them in the last 10 hours, or something they've been doing for the last 10. Yeah, they're going to. So I'm trying to take that into account anytime I work, and I'll choose not to work with somebody in some cases. But some of the most immediate results can, like lifting, if any, right? You see the gains early on. It's once you've been on this regimen, you're starting to see the cut, the ripples, the definition, and you go, man, When's the next level going to hit me? Because I've, the first 5 months, 3 months, I'm starting to get chiseled.
Yes, they're getting cut up out here.
The next couple of years, they're very minuscule.
Yes, sir. That's a great point. You got to ramp it up.
You got to go beyond it further. And sometimes it's not just reps. It's the way we move. And if we can connect the body, or allow the mind to kick in and get them both on the same page, and believe me, that's one of the hardest challenges of all, because it entails us getting out of the basketball realm. Mm-hmm. Everything's got to be done. We're going to do 50 shots in 2 minutes. How many can we make? We're going to go on to the next drill. We got 1 minute in this drill. You can't focus.
No.
You can't put up all the stuff you may have achieved could be wiped out, because now you got them going from that. When you asked me about 5-star earlier, I actually was invited to do my own 5-star camp in U of Mass, Lowell, Massachusetts. Yeah. And I remember the coaches. Now I'm in charge. And I'm putting stuff on the wall. First of all, we had too many kids. We didn't have enough baskets. Yeah. But I know I've been through this, and I know I've created these shooting drills that don't require a basket. Crossover training sports that don't require you being in a gym, that you can put in your own bedroom, your own dorm room, and practice hand control, wrist development. Well, wait a second. I just highlighted how valuable an area that part of your shot is, and how most guys can't focus on what their hand's doing while they're shooting at a basket. But they can when we take the basket away. It frees the mind to focus on what your hand's really doing at that wrist. Now, if you can focus on what your hand's really doing, and you see it doing something wrong, unless there's something really deeply going on that's beyond my ability to address, you should be able to say, I did it 3 times the wrong way. I better stop now and change something. Well, when you're watching the ball go in or out, that distraction level gets pretty high. I mean, I had one guy who played, I won't mention his name, he played behind Steven Adams, and he's a 7-footer. And he didn't even hear me say, and didn't realize for about 4 or 5 seconds I wasn't giving him the next ball to shoot, because he just missed 8 in a row. And he's not even looking at me, and he's up here, and I'm holding the ball, and I'm thinking, when's he going to realize I'm not giving him the ball? And then he looks down like a deer with headlights. What are you adjusting anything?
Right. Right.
No, I don't think so.
That's
crazy.
How many
of these do you want to put up before you want to go through another 50? Anyway, that's the problem with reps. We can become. And I hate to say this, and I know we got to get to these players. The machine, it can be a wonderful tool, but it can also be a detriment at that level up here. I don't even have to. I used to have to keep track of how many shot attempts, because it was me. I'm shooting. Right. I got to know, okay, I took my 27th shot. I only made 18. There was no machine calculating that, feeding me that input, that output. I had to keep track. It wasn't a machine keeping track. When I shot and missed developing my shooting system, my shot as a youth, I had to run after the ball. Well, if I walked after the ball, it got further away from me. So I better run and go get it. Yeah. And I didn't see a lot of value in running all the way back to the same spot. Fortunately, I don't know why, but I thought, well, if I'm on my way there, why don't I shoot from over there on the way there, work my way over there, and take this random jump shot instead of going back and taking 50 in a row from the same spot that I'm never going to visit 2 times unless I'm going to the foul line in a real game.
Good points.
That's the regimen.
Good points.
But I got guys that I'm fearful of being able to shoot better than me, wink, wink, in a shooting routine. But in a game, they don't even belong on the same court.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't.
Oh, wow.
That's a problem in development. And to encourage your point about development, Joe Peppers, I know you're into that, man, especially with two children. there's a way to train that can make you more effective in the process of the game. During the contest, the way you need to practice to be more prepared, to have it translate to the game, than just getting on a machine, putting up reps.
Absolutely.
And being able to say, okay, I did my 500 today. Got that behind me. Did you really benefit from it? Maybe not as much as you could doing it a different way. So I'm sorry about that, but that was an aside.
Don't
be.
Don't be sorry.
With you four minds, the four of your minds, the way you're at, the questioning, I love it, man. It's hard for me not to talk about this.
We love listening to you talk, Galo. Seriously, don't apologize.
I didn't mean to criticize the game I still am in love with.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of things we've just accepted because it's the way we've done it. And so many of us do it that way that it makes it right. And the reality is it may not have been right. It may not have been the best way to do it.
Exactly.
It may have been the most accepted way.
All right, nice. I saw a comment in the live stream too that was asking if we're going to get to any of the college players.
Yeah.
And we definitely will. We're definitely going to get to a couple here. But I just wanted to ask Mike, I know you've been sitting there, you've been thinking, you've been listening. You got anything for Roger before we enter that side of the podcast today?
Yeah, absolutely. This is Michael again, Roger. And I feel bad jumping ahead if I am. I apologize.
No, by all means, man.
Caleb Wilson, obviously, Kurtz has on the Carolina shirt. Caleb Wilson is a prospect who, the Bulls jumping up to number 4 overall based off of most mock drafts. Caleb Wilson out of North Carolina is looking like potentially the Bulls draft pick. What's interesting is we've kind of talked about the archetype of his players earlier. We talked about Westbrook a little bit. He is a guy who is extremely athletic. I've been obsessed with the draft, always am, so I've dived into these prospects a lot. He's a kid who you touched on it, Roger, a guy who's a 20-point per game scorer almost, but he's shooting 26% from the 3-point line in college. I think he only took 27 attempts over 24 games. So, he's not getting threes up. He's acknowledging it's kind of not a part of my game. But in that same limited time frame of 24 games, the kid took about 181 free throws. So he's getting to the free throw line a lot, but he shot 72% on those. So wasn't a very efficient free throw shooter, wasn't a volume, heavy 3-point shooter. So I'm kind of interested. We see in the NBA with a lot of these guys who rely on athleticism, like a Vince Carter, let's just say, they become great 3-point shooters as they get older, sort of start to lose that athleticism. They focus on that. Obviously with the game now, you're not seeing that as much because you kind of need to be able to do that right away. Everyone wants Kawhi Leonard, the athletic guy with all the tools who will become a shooter. So this is kind of a tough philosophical question, so there's probably no direct answer, but just pretend, it's a client coming to you. When it comes to like good reps versus volume of reps in game here, a guy like Caleb Wilson, do you feel like when he comes to the NBA, let's just say, he's on the Chicago Bulls, does he need to consciously try to make that 3-point shot and just shooting in general, jump shooting, more of part of his package in game? Or is that something where you're telling him, hey, it's okay to drive home those reps in practice and just continue to rely on that? It
sounds like you just cut out or you lost communication.
Yeah,
Can you hear me? Oh.
Yeah, I can still hear you, Roger.
Yeah, hear you, Roger.
Yeah. So, it was just pretty much you touched on a little bit, and it sounds like you already have an answer there. But, I was just worrying, when he relies on that athleticism, are you saying it's okay to maybe focus on that jump shooting in practice and wait till you feel like you're comfortable to take it in game? Or do you want him sort of trying that in game, even if he's not necessarily comfortable there?
A little bit of both. First of all, the paradigm shift has to be a big one. It needs to be. It doesn't have to be. It needs to be. And sometimes it's forced upon us by age, like you referenced earlier with Vince. But with him, because it's expected to be part of the game now and is a big part of the game, an important part of the game, spacing alone, you can't do that if you're not respected as a shooter, a shot maker. So he needs to develop that mindset that I need this, and I need this sooner than later. The way it is most important to develop that confidence in practice, in your routine. The danger that I see him going, the challenge with him doing that is the way he's going to practice them, not only the mechanics, what kind of mechanics, but the level of intensity, the way he moves into any given shot. So those are things I delve into, because if you tell me that in this scheme of plays, this set of offense, or number of different variations of that offense, I'm going to be here doing this from this angle, getting the ball. That all comes into play when I'm training somebody to help them get there faster. Not physically only get there faster, but by what I mean is mentally become more confident, realizing I'm practicing this to be reflected in the game immediately, right from in the reality of the game. This is where I shoot from. This is the way the ball is going to be delivered. This is at the speed, the angle. But getting the right reps in with him, he's got. I've noted a few things he does that need to be addressed. Because of his length, he exposes the ball more than a shorter basketball player would to the defender.
Okay.
He brings the ball forward. He brings the ball into unnecessary additional planes of movement. Well, that slows him down, even though he's a big. You would think on the surface that matters less. Well, it shouldn't, because he's probably going to be challenged by guys as tall or taller than him. Now, there may be mismatches, but when he is challenged by a taller player, will he pass up that shot? Will he be quicker or more inclined to pass the ball, put it on the floor, even though he may have appeared to be open, but because of these things going on, he doesn't feel that level of confidence, if that makes sense. And that's the subconscious level of what's happening. Believe it or not, the foul shot part of it is, and I've seen this in reality, a very similar player I actually worked with. When I went to study him in a real game, in a shoot around, it became evident between the game and the shoot around, he didn't even want to go to the foul line.
Oh, wow.
Now that means if he's this guy, and he's very similar to that guy that we're talking about, Caleb, I'm noticing he's not even going for rebounds that he could have easily had.
Oh, wow.
Now, why would that be? Why would that? Why? What about a 50-50 ball with this length, his athleticism, his quickness? He could have gotten that ball. Why didn't he go for it?
Scared of getting fouled, right? Yeah.
Damn.
Exactly. I don't want to be out there. I don't want to go to that line to show.
I've never thought about how that translates over. Your fear of your shooting might leak over into, like, maybe I won't even hit the boards as hard because I don't want to get a foul or a jump ball, or you know what I mean? That's crazy.
Zion Williamson.
It's like once fear is.
Oh, go for it, Joe. Joe, you got it. I think I'm about to throw it to you anyway, but you got it right here.
Well, yeah, I think once fear is in you and it's a part of your game, we look at Ben Simmons. It's just part of
Lord. That boy fishing now.
Yeah, it's part of how you operate. It's part of your operating system and how you move. And I think one of the things we were looking at, Luke, correct me if I'm wrong, is we got our own French kid named Noah Esinghe.
Absolutely.
And so I grew up with Horace Grant, and then being our first sort of power forward, and
because he just doesn't have the strength and the power.
And
sorry, Joe.
and I love that Noah's practicing the 3-point shot, but it goes back to one of my earlier questions. Like I just don't understand why it's not okay to shoot at 18. I understand the stats, but like I understand the metrics. I understand the money ball part of shooting the 3-point shot, but like the kid is now reportedly 6'11", and he's working on his 3-point shot, and I think he's actually got pretty good form. But I'm wondering if he's rushing to the 3-point line sooner than too quickly, and then. But I think probably more importantly is
Joe. You cut out. I'm sorry I don't know if it cut out on you other guys, but on me.
Can you hear me still?
Yes, you were saying. I wonder if it cut out.
I just said, is he rushing to the 3-point line too quickly? Oh. And if he isn't, what do you think of his form? What do you think of his shot and his progress so far?
Good question.
Well, if you've seen him and you think it's improved, I'm all for that. Any improvement, because that'll affect him going forward in some way. Thinking some guys have that badge, that identity that I'm not that. That's not me. And I've had guys use that as an excuse for avoiding development and excusing themselves. Like, okay, I can get by. Well, at certain levels, it's going to catch you. It's going to catch up to you probably. Anyway, the point is, he's taking shots, and to your point, Joe, earlier about that momentum, that inertia, that forwardness, that fluidity, that it shows that on some of the film that we're looking at here, the video, he's staying back, sitting back, or leaning back on some of those threes. And that's going to carry over into his game situational shooting attempts. Now, the different dynamic that's not at work here is there's going to be a guy challenging him, contesting him, trying to scare him the hell out of that shot. And he's already got some variables that are within that he's creating unbeknownst to him. And to these guys that are working with no offense intended, but we've become very accepting of things that we just shouldn't be accepting of. And look, I understand this kid might be the franchise player.
No.
Not yet. Let's not give him that tag just yet.
We don't want,
no.
I know, but some guys do understand that. Yeah, if you're, and I have a pretty interesting number of ways of getting across. Do you really want yourself to be doing that to yourself?
Right.
I mean, seriously, do you want me to pull you every time you shoot? Does that feel good? Does that increase your confidence that shot? By the way, you want to put some money on this next shot, and I'm allowed to pull you, but because you're pulling yourself back off your shot.
Damn.
That's like me moving the basket while you're shooting and the ball's in the air. Doesn't seem fair.
So what you're saying is that he is moving away. Essentially, he's moving away from the basket.
Look at him. He's leaning back, and then he falls forward after the shot. Well, what if you fell forward during the shot? Guess what happens to your spacing? What happens to your range?
Your air ball, your long.
No. If you're right. If it's going to destabilize your alignment in some way, or your distance in some way. Guys who tend to do that, and Joe, you highlighted this earlier about that momentum, that fluidity. A lot of guys are falling back on a lot more shots than they realize, I think.
Yeah.
And that is a destabilizer coming from within. That's not a defender most of the time forcing you to do.
Interesting.
Contrary to that, and this, I'm sure we won't be able to get into this. The reality is it's a better, cleaner, faster attempt if you did go towards the defender.
Yeah.
I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I can shoot against guys that scared me out of shots that are playing at this level. It might look at me. Seriously? Wait, man, I wish I had this speed of shot, which speaks to fluidity, speed and fluidity. Well, if you don't have a couple categorically desynced movements, you're probably going to be faster. Yeah. And there's probably going to be less room for something like a glitch. We like that, right? A hitch, something interfering maybe. It's amazing how many guys I can speed up that by virtue of that, which means to me is a tweak without changing form, that might shoot better just by virtue of doing that. But knowing how to speed them up.
Interesting.
Well, how do you explain that, Roger? Well, the only way I can is the window's closed more. So the big animals can't come in. Only the little ones come in. Or if you close it all the way, nothing's coming in.
Right.
Well, you become a
BJ Armstrong was a really good shooter for the Bulls in the 90s.
Yes.
And
I remember him.
He would notoriously talk about, well, I was always trained that I had to fall forward. And I think even Steve Kerr would talk about falling forward in their shots. So you're of the opinion that really when you're finishing a shot, and I don't want to say you're falling forward, but your momentum is taking you towards the basket and not from the basket.
That's right. Every time somebody does when you see a guy perform a floater, It's interesting because curves, the hand action you were showing, oftentimes, and some of these guys don't realize it even, but when they do a floater, they change their wrist action on a floater.
Absolutely. No, for sure.
And some of them don't. Have you guys ever been aware of how many shooters exist, or the comments been made of how many guys? I think he shoots better when he's being closed out than when he shoots.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, shooting better under
what
pressure.
I've noticed on certain players that I really wanted to work with that I didn't, but damn, I know he shoots better every time he's being closed out. Why is that? Well, he's got too much time. It's a head thing. He's got too much time to think about. No, if you look closely, his wrist action has changed because intuitively, intellectually, he knows that this action is drawing the ball forward, closer.
Wow. Correct.
towards.
Yeah.
This action is raising the. This guy's a faster, longer, quicker closeout defender. I better not do that with him. And
I bet that's why a lot of those mid-range shooters, like I was saying, they do that different wrist action because a lot of those mid-range shots are contested. So they're trying to get a shot up over so they don't finish. They just kind of flip it up like that. Yeah.
And to your point earlier, you highlighted where a guy will pull a shot. That's a dangerous ancillary extraneous action. When does this begin? You'd like to think it began pulling, falling back, coming off after you're released. But technically, it may have been during the release, and your distance is still affected. There's a lot of things that we can do anatomically that make us more consistent by knowing there are certain levels to get to before you start another action. Nothing acts independently on a shot.
Wow.
Now we don't talk this specifically about dribbling, do we? No, because you can cover that. I can recover. I can make you believe I meant to go behind my back north, and no one would know I really was trying to go south. Because I can hide that. I can hide that. I can't hide a clank, a miss.
Right. Ball don't lie, some would say.
Do you think that some shooters sort of, and I can't stand this because when I was coming up, guys played 3 or 4 years of school. So like we weren't expecting young players to be good until, minus the exceptions of the Jordans and stuff, most guys weren't good until they were 25. But it seems like now it's like, oh, this guy can't shoot. He's toast. He'll never be good. Do you sort of subscribe to the idea that like once a bad shooter, always a bad shooter, or do you believe that guys can get better?
To your point, Joe, I have some of the easiest players for me to train are the guys with the worst shots.
Wow.
It's almost like they feel like they finally have found somebody that is saying to them, man, the worse it is, the faster the games can be.
Wow. Right.
Because
right.
And this is the reality. I'm not just saying that to blow smoke. The reality is if I fix, because nothing acts, again, back to the kinetic chain, nothing acts totally independent of something else. Every part of our body affects that shot. We just aren't aware of it. And when you understand that if I'm tweaking this one element, if I'm trying to eliminate this one variable, and it's a bad one, it's probably expected to be connected to 2, 3, maybe even 4 other ancillary tagging along triggered movements. Well, wait a second. If I make one adjustment, I'm affecting 4 different areas. Well, that's where a lot of time, a lot less reps can be experienced and a lot more higher results in a far order. And it's too late. You can't fix. No, if the guy says to me, I don't need help. That's that. Yep. Thank you very much. Best of luck. I hope it happens, but I can't help you.
So, question for you, Roger. So, I think this is a really good point. So, this question here kind of ties into that because our new EVP of the Bulls, Bryson Graham, he spoke about at his last destination when he's a GM, that he liked to take prospects who, like a guy like Herb Jones or guys who come into the league and they might not be known for their shooting, but he believes so much in his player development staff that they are lucky enough they can take a guy like that who might be really good athletes or really good on the defensive side of the ball, but other teams will stay away from because of their shooting shortcomings. But he said, "Oh no, we're not worried about that." So hearing what you just said there, it kind of plays into that because you said "Oh man, if this is the worst thing about you, we can fix that." So this question here, it says, not sure if you all would touch on the draft, but if so, how much weight should organizations place on shooting potential versus the current shooting state when looking at a prospect? So it plays into that. Yeah, that's a good question, right?
That is Bo Estes. Do any of you know that name?
Maybe Joe. I don't know that one.
I think he does the top 10 highlights of the NBA on a regular basis. Anyway,
I got to look into him.
Anyway, he said to me in an interview, he said, "Roger, I think this was off the air, but he said, I honestly think the second highest paid coach on any program should be a shooting coach."
I believe it.
And
I believe it.
With where the game is, and you guys don't know this yet, but I'll share it with you now. In my book, I am highlighting, and I came out years ago saying this to people sheepishly. Now I'm less sheepish about it. The further out you are, I think the higher your percentages should be. Oh, that sounds crazy. What are you, nuts? Why would you say such a thing? Well, now I say it not sheepishly because there are stats out there that support what I just said. Before 10 years ago, I couldn't say that. Yeah,
right.
Steph Curry, they've got stats where Steph shot a whopping 60-something%, 27 feet out, or 26 point. And Caitlin Clark shot 56 point something, 26 and a half feet and beyond. She finished the season at 36. Wait, 56? That's 20. How could you achieve a number further out?
Right.
The ball doesn't matter. The movements matter. The fact that your confidence is pretty high because that defender isn't like this on you. They're thinking you're going to start attacking me coming forward and trying to go into your area. And
you pull up on them
instead.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for. You're going to see a closeout attempt, but they're all 95% of closeouts, maybe higher, outside those last second ones, are late.
Yeah.
They're always late.
Wow.
The ball's 10 feet, 5 feet above the outreach star. It's on its way. Now, is it going in or not? And that speaks to the movements back here. Is it going in or not? And we have a very serious alignment, aiming issue that is non-existent up until, I hate to say it, I don't hate to say it, up until now. I'm trying to share that there's a better alignment system that can work from everywhere.
Nice.
And it's part of this model. But they're wide open. They're really wide open, and by the way, they're shooting a shot they have probably practiced. Fair?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Steph Curry and Mr. Lillard is not shooting out of his range.
Right. They wake up
well within the range.
Yeah,
out the bare range for them dudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Roger, we're on the topic of prospects. We've looked at Caleb Wilson so far and Noah Senge, who I don't know if you knew this, but he missed the entire season this year. So he's still pretty much a prospect to us Bulls fans. And in the scouting community, there's kind of this widespread belief that free throw percentage can help translate into a good 3-point shooter one day. I was wondering what your thoughts were on the correlation between the free throw line
and the
3-point line.
Yeah. Traditionally, it's been just that. There's always been that connection. And if a guy can't shoot foul shots, he's never going to be a shooter. I disagree with it. You named Caleb, who shoots. No, not Caleb, but the other player.
Senge.
The one we're talking about. Even though the guy shoots 84, I think 84.2. Right. Now everything's more static. Everything's more under his control. Everything. Right. Well, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'd lean on this side of the presumption that I'm about to make. I think he shoots mechanically the same way from the foul line that he does elsewhere.
It
Some
looks
guys
like it.
don't. Yeah, it looks like it. That's why I'm willing to say that now.
You're saying that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's usually a good thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Now it depends on the set of mechanics. I take 360 degrees of video because I capture every angle. Well,
I'm sorry I couldn't get that for you. It's tough. It's tough out here.
Yeah. But it looks like he's got stuff going on that are actually stronger than he probably realizes, that he should not have anybody change. But he does see the danger is there's a guy out on that court that might be changing something unknowingly that is the strongest part of his shot.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And
the Bulls need to hire you, Galo.
Right, Roger, come help out.
Yeah, we're gonna need to make a call in.
Shooters out here. Yeah.
Wait, I love Bryson's mentality, because I will argue this to the death. If first of all, God, guys, I grew up in Western PA. I was a starting quarterback. I think I was not a good.
Nice.
I had to start. I was started. Didn't have a strong arm. Had an accurate arm. Okay, probably helped me shooting. Right. The point is, I grew up with defense wins games. I grew up on defense wins championships.
Oh yes, sir. Absolutely.
Still does.
Now,
absolutely. We saw that last night.
In my book, I just heard that comment. No, it doesn't.
Oh, what?
You can block my shot 3 times. I'm holding the 1-point lead that I got from the foul line. You blocked my shot 3 times.
My brain and my mind is blowing right now. I'm not going to lie to you,
Galo. The clock is ticking. You didn't put the ball in where? The basket. That clock runs out. Who won? Now, if you should take that one of those blocks and put it in the basket, wait, if you do that, that's not really defense. You transferred from defense to offense. So we do have it a little twisted, and I take real exception to that, because in the last 10 years, I was playing guys that are going to the NBA at the colleges around the area here. And again, it's not bragging about me. It's bragging about what I've learned. And I've learned a lot besides the mechanics of shot making. And that's one thing I've learned. I'm beating these guys. We're playing make and take to 12. I'm beating I get ball. All I ask is, because I'm an old guy, I'm slow. Do you have a problem giving me the ball?
Yeah, you're a pool table shark.
There's the first 3 not launched. We're counting them as 2s. Well, it's 2-0. He's going to get the ball. He's coming back on the way. He's tossing me the ball within arm's reach. Well, there's another shot. That was pretty easy.
Pull it on him.
Now it's 4. Now he's coming back.
We got to video this.
What do you think he's doing now? He's not tossing me the ball.
Right, he's playing up on you now.
Yeah, right. Now guess
putting the ball in your stomach there.
Right?
Yeah.
As soon as I raise, right, we become trained. Like, is it up? Guess what he just did?
Yeah.
This old guy is not going to let anybody. I'm a pretty good ball player.
That's
I'm
right.
not going to let you come from behind me to in front of me to challenge me on a layup.
There you
I'm
go.
a ball player.
Yeah,
that's right. You know ball. Galo.
Let's go, Roger.
Right?
Talk to him.
Anyway, the point is, I'm beating the. Now, do I miss a shot every now and then? Yeah, but he's got to, and I'm disrespecting him. I'm begging him. What do you think that ego's going to do? Launch a 3. Guess who's getting that rebound?
Yeah,
I read angles. I look at things. Larry Bird was a pretty good rebounder. Well, he was gifted athletically. Oh yeah, no, he wasn't. Anyway, what about Charles Barkley? Oh, he wasn't gifted athletically. Anyway, height wise. The point is, I learned then offense. My offense. Hey, Galo, I grew up with take what the defense gives you.
Right, really? That's what I was raised on, man.
We're still taught that. No, I don't train with that. If I've got that ball, that round thing, I'm going to make your ass work harder. I'm sorry.
Let's go, Galo.
There we go. I'm in charge. You're in charge.
I'm making you do what I want you to do, where I want you to, how I want you to do it, so I can launch the shot that I'm capable of launching, feeling pretty confident it's going in. Or drawing a foul against you because I know you're the number 1 defender on the squad. assigned to me. And if I can get your butt on 2 quick fouls, guess where you're going and who's coming in? Number 2.
To the bench.
Bring the B squad. I know our guy Zen Master Mike is loving this because we give him so much flack for his offense philosophy. Look, so this is your language right here, Mike. You're speaking Mike's language here.
Yeah, jump shooting wins championships, man. Steph Curry showed it.
You got to put the ball in the hoop. You know, I heard one coach, guys, you never know where this is going. I know we got to get to the players. One coach in my entire life who said to me in January, and I've met with him briefly before, and I've respected him. He's retired now. His name is Phil Martelli. And we finally had breakfast. And he says to me, as soon as we now he knows he never got a chance to take advantage of this, but he knows what I'm about. And he said, Roger, I'm gonna say something that I finally came to realize. Defense doesn't win games, and it does. Now, he said it very calm. Defense doesn't win games, and it doesn't win championships. I almost knocked the table over standing up.
Let's go.
Oh, my God. Finally. Now, previously to that, I heard an interview with another coach, probably not, well, but questionably a Hall of Fame college coach. Do you know what he said in that interview? He explained why coaches harp on defense so much. They devote so much attention and time to it. Do you know why that is? He said,
no.
It's the only area we have that much control over.
Wow.
We can't make Joe Peppers. We can't make Jordan Fields. We can't make Kurz make more of his baskets.
Wow.
We can't make that happen.
Wow.
We could get him in the gym and have him assign him a couple rebounders or a machine and have him go up there and put reps up, work on his shot. But we can't make him make more of those. We can make this kid hustle more on defense. We can teach him how to box out. We can teach him about angles. Those are easy. They're not precision skill set, very complex things.
Yeah. No, you're right. 100%.
And by the way, we may not have the personnel that's capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and by the way, everybody knows everybody shoots differently.
Exactly.
So how are you going to fix everybody?
Right.
Because there's no real standardization. It's acceptable. It's okay if you twist the ball out of your hands. Joe Kim, we don't care. We should care. Larry Bird is the only guy. I'm sorry to get off on this. Last comment about Larry Bird is the only guy, and I've gone through a lot of video over the years, the only guy that truly shot with elbow under the ball, but he twisted all the way here like this to make it really stay under the ball.
It was a shot put.
It was a shot put from the side, which means, well, he wasn't squared to the basket. No, 90% of them was over there that way. So enough. Sorry about that. Let's get on to that next player.
So Roger, Luke, I don't want to. Sorry.
No, you got it, Joe. What you got to say? Throw it out there.
So one of the things that's and we could probably go on a tangent on this, so I want to be careful. but so the mid-range game and heliocentric basketball. So heliocentric basketball, this idea that I should put the ball in the best player's hands and just let him win the game. And I personally think that you can't in the playoffs and in the finals, you just can't win when only one guy has the ball and is dominating the ball. His usage rate is through the roof, high 30s and 40s. And not only that, like John Paxson hit a game winner. Steve Kerr hit a game winner. Yeah. Multiple players using John Paxson got his next contract with the Bulls, destroying the Lakers in Game 5 because he kept hitting throughout that series. They were putting a lot of pressure on Michael, and Michael kept penetrating and getting to John Paxson, and John Paxson just kept hitting 18, 19 footers. So I think the question is why? What is the aversion, do you think, in modern basketball to the mid-range game, and what is this affinity with this idea that the only person that can handle the ball is the very best player on the team? It just doesn't make sense because, to your point about this one-on-one game that you're having, I'm thinking this through. I've already thought this through. I played this game a million times with you, young buck, and you don't know that I'm about to hit these first 2 shots, and then I'm gonna pump fake you on the third. I played this through. So like, there's something to playing chess in basketball, and we see this. I think it's one of the reasons why I think the Knicks have a shot is because they don't play heliocentric basketball, and I actually think the Spurs don't either. And so there's something to this idea that if I can hit an 18-footer and I can hit it at 55%, why don't I take that shot?
Yeah. Great observation. And man, I am disturbed to share this with you. Last summer at the Summer League, I had 2 different coaches, not head coaches, assistant coaches, who said to me, we want to get a layup or we want to get a 3.
Yep. Heard that before.
Now, and I'm here in colleges now. By virtue of me training college kids that have said, "Oh, they've already told me that they don't like shooting mid." There's about 530 square feet of operating space that is a lot less congested, a lot less dangerous, that is a lot more available, a lot more versatile from which to operate than in the paint. And by the way, to those 2 gentlemen, I wouldn't have dared said what I'm about to say to you. In my book, the most missed, heavily contested, dangerous shot attempt in the game of basketball for the last 12 years, I'll shorten it to that period, has been the layup. Now, the one executive is looking at me, rolling his eyes almost. Not the guys there. This was a different situation. We're watching a game at the Thomas Mack Center last summer. And the other one to the right of me taps me on 10 minutes later because the one that rolled his eyes is looking at me like, well, that's crazy. And I explained, look, I'm not talking about the transitional layup. I'm talking about the half-court layup where we're all faking. And there's one thing on my mind, getting down, going south all the way, going to the basket, and finishing. And even though they're 6'5", 225, pretty good sized guard, not Galo, 6 feet, 170. This guy's going to go down and finish. Yeah, those guys aren't going to show that or allow that. Or he goes up, he gets ready to go up, and the ball gets swatted. Well, that was an attempted layup. It got swatted. Yeah. So he went up, but he didn't have the ball. Or the shot that he did get up that high, but it got blocked. Well, that was an attempted layup. What about where he goes up? Finds out there's too many arms up there, more than one defender, like there was at mid-range. But he went all the way to the hoop, attempted it, decided I better kick out to the 3. It got deflected. Another missed layup attempt. Now, the guy on my right, the other executives tapped me. Roger, I've been watching this for the last 15 minutes, and I'm noticing that's hard. Yeah. I got a crooked nose from down there.
That's what OKC was doing last night. Yeah.
Right? That's a hard shot. Wait, we're designing plays to get a layup in the half court?
Right.
Wait, now, if you got Shaq down there, go for it.
Right. Yeah.
Shaq will finish. It won't be a layup. It'll be a dunk. But he will finish. Because you're not going to risk getting your arm snapped in half with a guy like Shaq coming down on you. Anyway,
absolutely.
That's I'm publicly stating that in the book. I'm noticing it. And the trouble is, to your point, Joe, these guys who I'm training that are high school guards that are capable of blowing by guys easily and finishing in high school.
Right.
Are thinking, and
I'll do that the rest of my life.
This is going to be my game. Yeah. And I'm trying to train a point guard with this attitude. I'm going to train you to be the best shooter on the team. Period. I don't care what your title is, but you're going to be the best shooter on the team. And if you're that point guard, you're going to be yanked out when you're open. You decide to pass instead of you. That's the point guard. Because since you're the point guard, you probably have a pretty damn good handle, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you have trouble getting to where you need to get to? No. No. Well, then pull up on an easy 15-footer on your terms.
Yep.
Right. Especially in the current NBA, where most defenses are kind of designed anyway to give up that shot because of the
exactly, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan, he's kind of walking into a practice shot every game. So yeah.
Right, and that's what I have problems with about the 3. So much it's so coveted in the NBA for the wrong reason. The shortest 3. The distance doesn't matter. Isn't that a very limited shot?
Yes.
I mean, how many
thank you.
By the way, doesn't everybody in the NBA know you're trying to get that shot because it's the highest? Yeah. Well, aren't they trying to stop it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
What are you averaging? 28 corner threes a game? No.
Yeah.
But that gets back to your point, Joe, about can we become focused on the wrong things the wrong way? And how much of the analytics is promoting that? Because that's what's promoting the corner three. And we've stopped thinking about it. We've stopped becoming critical thinkers because of analytics, I think.
Absolutely.
Are you guys interested in hearing my hypothesis about why the corner three is such a high percentage shot?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Here it's I don't think it's that crazy. And I've been corrected by my team of people, which are scientists. It's not a theory, it's a hypothesis. Where else, and I've been to practice facilities where they have that area, that specific corner three in the left and the ring and the right corner marked, so that if Jordy Guilty is 5 feet away from that X or that boxed in area where they get their threes, he's going to hear about it from one of the coaches who come in and say, "What the hell are you doing? We got the place marked. What are you doing there?" Where else do you report where there's very limited variability? Footwork even is limited.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I could step back in the right corner three. No, I can't. I'll be out of bounds.
Not really. Yeah.
Well, in the right corner three, I could step to the right. No, I won't, because I'll be out of bounds. Well, I could step ahead where I could pivot. Well, most guys aren't pivoting into a corner three, are they? Because they can't. There's not enough space. Well, some guys are turning and catching and dribbling between the legs on a pull-up three. No, they're usually catching and shooting.
Catch and shoot, yeah.
Where else do you report to the same exact spot and set it up that definitively within those parameters? The foul shot.
Oh, I see. So you can repeat
so
it.
Practicing it like it's.
I got you.
That intentionally. I'm yelling at you if you step on that line. I'm yelling at you because that's a stupid long two, right?
Right.
If you're only that far ahead of the line, you're going to catch hell because that's a 3-point shot. What are you doing? Right.
Yes.
Anyway, and by the way, where's the depth perception advantage that we've all assigned to the bank board? Well, it doesn't exist from the corners, does it?
No.
And you'll hear guys talk about, well, the perception in that arena, that stadium, that it can play havoc with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you would espouse that basically, these guys know I'm a military guy. We call it the combined arms effect, right? So I gotta be able to score close. I gotta be able to score far away, and I gotta be able to score in other parts of the floor. And I think AD was on the show last week. He was like, the best players can score in a multitude of ways. And what we're seeing now is that the best teams can score in a multitude of ways. They can score from the mid range. They can score on a bank shot. You know, I think that there's something to what you're saying. Is that what you would say?
There's a lot. Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite players is on the Knicks, and he reminds me of an Andre Miller. But thank you. Reminds me of Andre Miller, but this guy's arsenal is vast.
His bag is deep.
He's a dog.
Now I say that, and here's part of the affinity. Some of it stems from I was a 5 when I fell in love with the game. When I was 10, 11, 12, I was as tall as I am now. I played a 5. So I could morph. And when I train guys, I train them with this. If you're a guard and you're going towards the basket, you don't go there with a guard-like mentality. You better morph into a big-like mentality. And I had that training. I could low post. I could back to the basket and maneuver. I could draw fouls. I wasn't afraid. They didn't scare me because I had been, even though I was a very short 5 in college, and I wasn't a 5. But when I dribbled down to the basket, I played and maneuvered like a 5.
Yeah.
And I could draw fouls because those bigs have this sense of entitlement thing going on.
Yes, they do.
I'm going to lock this into the other half of the court.
Right.
He'll never come down here again, or I'm going to take his head off. He'll never come down. Right? And so Jalen does that. He is so versatile, and to the whole team's attribute. That a lot of those guys are that good. That ability exists where they can do that, and that's hard to stop. And the ball moves so quickly that if you're really, and there's some inefficiencies I've noticed in passing the ball, distributing the ball, that man, if those were recognized and taken advantage of, you can't stop a decent shot making team from the three.
Yes.
The math dictates that.
Yes.
The math alone dictates that. How many teams shoot better than 50% at the end of a game from the field? Not many.
Very few. Very few.
Right. And all you got to do is shoot 33. 33, 1 out of 3 from a 3, which I'm classifying as the second easiest, least contested shot attempt next to the foul shot. One of them. Yeah. And I'm talking about the one that's most open. As soon as you catch, pretty wide open shot.
Absolutely.
Unless you're doing a lot of things that some of these guys are doing. I'm sorry I got scrambled a little bit on that with the.
No, you're good.
The other player. I know you want to talk about Trey, right?
No, we were gonna touch on him, but yeah, I think your questions, with Caleb, I mean your answers with Caleb and Noah kind of like give us an insight into it's the same, it's the same answer.
Okay.
But yeah, Roger, we really appreciate you coming on. I mean, you've given us 2 hours of your Sunday.
Yeah, oh my God.
It's been fantastic talking to you. I love talking to other skills development minded people. I just think you get so much more out of those conversations about the game that we all know and love when you're talking with people whose focus is that. And I know you've got a book coming out. I want to give you a chance here to.
Oh, thank you.
I see it in the background, The Perfect Shot. Let the people know what the book is going to be about and when it's coming out and where they can find it.
It's going to be released on July the 7th. They'll be able to get it through Amazon. It can be pre-ordered right now through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, just about any store they choose to go through. It's about the journey. A lot of the stuff I grew up on, learning, mastering to some degree, becoming the player I became, and identifying and dropping nuggets. It's not quite an instructional-based book. It was a thought-provoking book. This kind of a conversation is the kind of conversations that should be taking place among staff. Really among staff, and I don't see it. I mean, I don't see I just don't see it. I see such a gap in synergy between the strength and conditioning guy and the shooting guy, or another guy. They've got a Chicago, right? They've got a science director of science and strength training, or something along that line, but. Sometimes when you can connect the dots for the players by virtue of explaining that, that exercise, that lifting thing, that balance related thing applies to your jump shot, then it can connect. It can help connect those dots, finish the connecting of those dots for those players to help them get stronger, deeper buy-in. And sometimes that's what's needed too, especially for the young players coming into the league, right? Some of the guys mature into that are older. But the book is about that. Opening your mind, trying some of these nuggets of tips or suggestions that I make about using the principles that I'm actually incorporating in my training with every player, whether they're 10 years old or they're 25 years old, because the principles of science are just that. They can be developed. Some of them don't take long to develop because they're so almost intuitive. And easy to repeat. So the frustration allows you to focus more, maybe intellectually become more engaged in what you're actually trying to achieve, and heighten your awareness of your own body. That's a big part of it. Becoming more aware of what is it that I'm doing back here that's affecting the ball up there. Because the ball's got no brain. We're controlling the ball's flight. What we did something to cause that. Now, are you paying attention to what happened? And if you are, then on the next shot attempt, I should see a different shot attempt.
Yes, sir.
It may not be the right one, but if I see no attempt at changing, then you're wasting a lot of valuable reps.
Run some suicides.
Yeah. There you go. Work on your handle. Work on passing the ball. Work on
yes, sir.
Guys, I've got 2 hours.
Man, honestly, Galo,
this is great.
We could have you. Yeah,
well,
I feel
that
like
explains why I'm hungry. But I've enjoyed every one of you. I mean that, man. And I love coming to Chicago. If I ever get a chance to come back to Chicago, and I'm sure I will. Hey, yes, you guys have a lot of stuff going on there in Chicago.
We do,
yes, sir.
Good time.
I don't know if are we still on? We're not on, are we?
No, we are.
We're on.
Oh, we are.
On. Yeah.
It's okay.
when I've reached out to Chicago in the last couple of years.
Yes, sir.
Suggesting just to have a conversation, challenge, blow this thing apart. Mm-hmm. I mean, rip it apart.
Yes, sir.
I can learn. I might learn by you ripping this thing apart and saying, "Well, that ain't going to work."
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe you're right. Maybe there's something I overlooked. I did a lot of crazy litmus testing of these things to make it fail because I was angered by what I was starting to learn. I devoted a lot of hours. I missed a lot of parties, a lot of friendships because I had to go out on the blacktop and work on my game.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Buying into what others wrote about what we should be doing if you want to become a great shooter. So I'm trying to debunk that and demystify shot making. And I think I've done a better job than anybody on the face of the planet right now. And
that's right.
I look forward to being proven wrong because it means somebody else has done that. And
absolutely.
And I'm all for it by all means.
Absolutely.
But right now, I don't think anybody's done it yet. We've just accepted that same old, hey, we all shoot differently. That should be okay. And
I need the Bulls to hear this. I need them to hear this because
I know, right?
Bryson Graham would be the kind of guy that would hire you on the staff.
Man,
I get that. I get that impression, but and believe me, I've had guys tell me, Roger, you got to call Market. Roger, you got to call Daryl Morey was in my backyard.
Oh wow, man!
There we go.
He follows me. I don't know if
that's awesome.
he said, "Yeah, we'll need to get you in the gym."
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Yeah,
anyway, guys, I appreciate it, man. I really do.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Roger.
I'm going to read
what you guys are doing. And Joe, let me know how you're doing with those two.
I will. But I have to say, I followed you on Twitter, so I have to send you some videos.
Oh yeah, do that. I'll look.
I followed you well, Roger, and I'm going to read
your book
and send you some thoughts. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I got I got your website. We got a QR code going, so I'll keep it up there in the corner, guys. If you're watching this, go ahead and scan that QR code. Head over to RogerGalo.com for more Roger, man. This has just been. Thank you so much for your time. Truly, I can't say that enough.
God bless you all.
Yeah, man. Just take me back to when I had some of my favorite coaches playing basketball. So thank you so much today, man.
You're very welcome. Bye, guys.
Absolutely. All right, we'll see you next time, guys. So let me see. So yeah, boys. I mean, honestly, dude.
Did we lose Luke?
Oh shit. I think Luke probably thought we were about to end. I mean, we are about to end.
Yeah.
We are about to end.
What happened? Luke turned audio off?
No, here he is. No, he right here. Thank God. What up?
My bad, boys. That's all I mean.
No, you good. We just gonna say peace out to everybody, but
absolutely, man.
No, what the fuck? Now we lost Peppers. What's going on?
That's on me. That's on me. Probably.
What Peppers?
Peppers dipping out, man. But hey, I thought that was really fun and that was really interesting.
What's our intro song say? Things don't go the way you expect sometimes, right? We all just popping in and out at the end here.
Oh my God.
There we go.
There we go.
Blue.
Yeah, man, that shit went. That was crazy. I mean, we're still live right now, but I mean, we just talking like boys right now. I mean,
Roger was awesome, man. It was everything I expected. I'm really excited to pick up his book. Roger's the type of guy where I love his energy. Even if he wants to send me a free copy, go ahead. I'm going to buy one anyway. Roger was an awesome guy. I really want to see the next book. Some tells me Roger's not done based off of this conversation today. And honestly, being a guy who's just obsessed with the draft and draft prospects, I'm excited to kind of try to look at things through the lens of really looking at the jump shot, because it's something I look at, but I'm more concerned with the percentages and stuff. Now kind of talking to Roger, I would love to look at the numbers like I do and kind of try to piece that together with what you're actually looking at. So great conversation today for sure.
Well, I like what you're saying, because I feel like Roger had like a really interesting, like we always talk about like eye tests versus spreadsheets. And I feel like Roger had such a really good, like mixture of both. It's like almost like he was an eye test guy and he didn't want to believe the numbers at first, but then he was convinced. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Man. There was somebody in the Discord yesterday that I don't know if I'll repeat what they said. They were like, I'm tired of the spreadsheets. It's like at the end of the day,
I seen that. The man of the mouse comment.
Yeah, it's basically like you either a bitch or you not a bitch.
That was awesome.
I mean that's what it come down to. At the end of the day, like they said, it's that picture, man. If you a man or a mouse, fuck all the stats, fuck all the numbers. It come down to who's a bitch and who's not a bitch. So I think that was a great episode. Man.
That's kind of why I like Roger too. He was kind of a mix of both, even with the analytics and the shot too, because he obviously said 3-point shooting is important with kind of guys should be able to hit threes more than shots closer, which I thought was kind of interesting. Then he kind of explained that philosophy, talked about how he thought the mid-range should be taken more so because defenses are giving it up, which kind of falls in line with analytics in a weird way. I think as we'll see as time goes on, the mid-range shot is going to be more prevalent because, again, it's just there.
Yes.
But something I think is interesting with what Joe kind of talked about there, Wemby, obviously he is not somebody that's going to back down. He's not as concerned with the spreadsheet. But at the same time, I think I always feel validated. I remember Wemby, I think a second year in the league, he was taking like 8 or 9 threes, something crazy. And people were like, this is dumb. You're 7'5". What are you doing? And I'm like, guys, the spreadsheet guys are telling the Spurs this year doesn't matter. Let your 8-foot guy get up these threes because there's going to be a day where the 7'5" guy takes a three in a big moment and everyone will be surprised how pure it looks. And here we are.
All season.
And he's not going out there taking 8-9 a game. Now he's dominating in the paint like Shaq. But he understands when the opportunity presents itself, follow through with that clean form. So I just think it's interesting how everything Roger talked about, you kind of said a lot of that stuff in this current postseason even. So it's super great conversation today.
And I know Joe shouted out AD. What's AD's go-to?
The game's about a bucket.
The game is about a bucket, and that's kind of what we heard.
Right.
No, deadass. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And you think about it, it's sort of like you look at the NFL, the evolution of the quarterback. There was all this throwing and throwing, and a wide receiver, and then what's at a premium again? Running backs. Because you can get a running back. So you look at. I think that what we're seeing, and I think we saw this I'd love to talk about the series with you guys a little bit before we go, but like. The Oklahoma City that they had no game if they couldn't shoot the three and they couldn't get to the bucket. They could not score. They could not score if it wasn't at the 3-point line and it wasn't wide open, or they couldn't get to the paint. They just couldn't score. And I think that in the finals, when you really want to contend, you've got to be able to score them. To AD's point, the game is about a bucket. And I got to get a bucket any way I can. And I just think that what's interesting about what Galo's talking about is just like, hey, teaching guys how to get a bucket isn't just about like, hey, just shooting fixed shots and a static thing. There's a lot of nuance to it, and I really appreciate that about what he was saying.
Absolutely.
I like your comparison to the NFL too, because I remember, I think it was Kirk Cousins was saying like defensive coverages have gotten so difficult to read because teams can disguise them in so many ways that we're never going to see like another 5,000-yard passer or another guy throwing for 50 touchdowns or things like that. And I think Roger was making good points about how a lot of these defenses are now designed to stop a 3-point shot. And I think we're going to start seeing I hope we see like a mid-range renaissance where we got a bunch of like coming in and taking advantage of the space created by the defense.
Well, what's interesting is I think just touching really quickly on the playoffs, like Joe said, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander kind of shows the inverse of that and brings up the multitude of ways things. And he kind of makes me think about Roger talking about if you can shoot close to the basket, why can't you shoot, far away from the basket? And Shai is someone who became a more proficient 3-point shooter over time. But I think in the way the Spurs were defending him, loading up on him, really having Wembanyama get in his airspace to that mid-range to where Shai was impressively nailing those over a 7'5" guy at some point.
Yeah.
But it becomes, if OKC is being challenged, specifically Shai, to take that pull-up 3-point shot, they're going under really saying, if you're not taking the pull-up 3, you're going to see 3 or 4 bodies. I think Shai should have been gunning pull-up 3s. I know that's not his game, but you're getting them to a point where it's like, dude, they're letting you, an MVP candidate, walk into the pull-up three. I know you want to get to the midi. I know you're dying to get to the foul line, but you got to at some point adjust and take what the defense is giving you. So I think that's something we're going to see a lot in the finals. And I think, again, it's a reason the Bulls struggling a lot. Josh Giddey, the engine of the offense, we know the defense is going under the screen every time. So, Gallo definitely needs to work with the Bulls, because when it comes to scoring in a multitude of ways, that's the only way I think you're going to see some evolution from your younger players, is some varying in their shot selection.
And I loved seeing that from the Spurs last night too. Like your point, like they were guarding Dylan Harper in a very similar way, where they were going under the screens, they were loading him up at the basket. And what was his big shot of the night? He had a pull-up three with like 2 minutes left, like that, and that was kind of the dagger, if we're being honest. Like, so it's cool to see guys like take what the defense is giving you. Gotta make the
when Josh Giddey's hitting the pull-up three, guess what happens? Chicago Bulls win the basketball game, because they're challenging the tickets. That's simple. That's simple. Yep.
Well, it's interesting too, because I do think that the Knicks are a team that shares the ball, and I thought that once AJ Mitchell and J-Dub were down, I thought it was a virtual impossibility, especially once they got down 11. I remember, I don't know who I made mad, Jordan. I don't know who homeboy was. He was like, don't jinx the Spurs. It's like, shut your bitch ass up. I was like, dang, he's mad. But like once they were down 11, I was like, the OKC doesn't have the playmakers to mount this comeback and sustain it and win the game. They don't have enough playmakers, and they don't. Losing J-Dub and AJ Mitchell was just a death sentence for OKC.
Yeah, man, that's a good point.
I'm kind of worried about the Knicks in that regard too. I know you just kind of touched on it, but Brunson's kind of their only. He's like their only playmaker, for being honest. All those other guys play off
Spurs on their ass, man. That's about to be a great series.
Are you saying this is the Jordan Clarkson series, Kurtz?
They're going to need it, man. They're going to need somebody else to. It can't just be Brunson going up against Castle, Fox, and Harper. That's a losing battle.
Mike Brown has been kind of excellent. I think, it's been kind of under-discussed what a great coaching job I think Mike Brown has done, especially after a lot of the flack he's gotten over the years.
That's right.
He's outcoached people along the way, and he's been excellent. I'm like, you can't win a title with Brunson, because at some point I'm just going to ditch my offense and hunt him. And he's done a masterful job of, you haven't really seen Brunson able to be attacked in that way. But as you mentioned, Kurtz, with the Spurs bevy of guards, I just think it's going to be next to impossible to have Brunson on a guy where you're not worried about him, even to the point where it's going to sound silly in 2026. I'm not sure if I want Brunson on Harrison Barnes, not in the sense of, Harrison Barnes is about to break this game, but when every point matters, it's going to be tough if Harrison Barnes is going 6 of 9 every game, because again, he has a 6-foot guard on him. So it's going to be a very interesting balance for them. So,
well, realistically,
I think Cat's about to have a great series too.
Exactly, Jordan. Exactly.
Draw Wemby out to the 3, bring him out, trying to drown him out there.
I do think, like, if you think about those Brunson matchups, though, you got to put Brunson on Champagny. Like, he's been cooking. He's been
comes
killing.
A tough equation quickly with the Spurs depth.
It's going to be a good series, man.
I'm excited.
But I think the Knicks offense is going to be with Cat in this sort of Draymond Green hub, top of the key, or free throw line extended, where he's passing the ball. You see his assist rate is just really, really shot up. And I do think the Knicks defense is really very much underrated. I don't think that you're going to be able to. I think other than Wemby, I think that the Spurs are going to have a hard time with the Knicks defenders. I think, think about it. You got Hart, OG, and Bridges going against Harper,
Fox, Castle,
and Harper. Harper and Castle. Yeah. So they're very similar archetypes, if you will, in terms of players. So I think that the big difference is going to be, can Cat facilitate an offense that allows Brunson to play off the ball, at a relatively high amount. And then, to your point, Michael, when the Knicks are on defense, like how effective will the Spurs be at hunting Brunson and then getting the ball to Wemby?
Yeah, and just to put a quick pin in it, I just wanted to say my hot take is Mitchell Robinson, I think, is going to decide the NBA Finals. It sounds insane. With his physicality, if you play a lot of Mitchell Robinson and Cat, I think it's going to give Wembanyama the same kind of difficulties that the physicality that OKC played with gave him. So if Mitch Rob is a full go, I think the Knicks could shock some people. If he's not 100%, I just think Wemby is going to be too much to handle at MSG. So we'll see, though.
All about that pinky.
Seriously.
I've been saying absolutely for like 3 minutes. I didn't realize I was on mute. But yeah, just as Kurt said, shout out to the chat. I'm not sure. We've been having a lot of bots coming everywhere. I think we just got a bot in the chat. So shout out to Aaron, the bot, or maybe it's in your pocket. I don't know. But all jokes aside, shout out to the chat, man. 2.5 hours worth of an episode today.
Yeah. Y'all roll with us
wild.
too.
Got a little Sunday
so shout out to
a little bit of a mood.
Shout out to Galo, man. That was just an amazing episode. We'll get back on these playoffs. I think the playoffs are June 3rd. So we got an episode coming on Tuesday with Elias Schuster from Sports Illustrated. That'll be a good episode. Yeah, so we'll see you guys all back here. I think we'll do that like at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. And hopefully, maybe by then we might have a new coaching hire. Who knows? But yeah, thanks for coming through. It says Hobie. Yeah, thanks for coming through, Santana. We appreciate you, man. But yeah, as always, guys, thanks for coming through. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, y'all.
Boys. Later.